Hey guys, I'm Zach Wilson.
And I'm Apoc Antu.
And thank you so much for tuning into the very first Tribe Conscious podcast, guys. And let me tell you, it is a special one.
Today we are talking about how the Tribe Conscious came to be and what it means to us and how you can get involved.
On top of that, there's some fire conversation in between and some gold nuggets that we think are really going to help everyone out.
Absolutely. So without further ado, welcome to episode 1 of the Tribe Conscious podcast and welcome to the Tribe. So talk to me, man. For people wondering, what is the Tribe Conscious? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, Tribe Conscious has been one of those things that has been on my head for years. I was talking to a buddy even yesterday. I was telling him, I was like, dude, we're doing this podcast. And he's like, bro, I remember of us like taking pictures and writing stuff down and ideas like this is back like 2014, like back in the day. But the thing that we both really loved is this idea that Tribe Conscious, what it kind of stands for, has really like stood that many tests of time up until now. So that's just been super exciting. But dude, to me, Tribe Conscious, just breaking down just like the words, literally, Tribe Conscious to me, tribe comes from this idea of a group of people, you know, with similar values, cultures, dialect, language, all of this kind of stuff. And for me, that really connected with me. And then adding this idea of consciousness is just this state of continue to be more and more aware of our surroundings. And it's funny because in Black culture, you know, we're always talking about, hey, you got to stay woke. And that was kind of my little nod to that. But putting these two things together, I think we start to build this community of people that are like, hey, I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to experience and do life together.
So yeah, and that's what I loved about it. Yeah, I loved it for the same reason. And I heard about it years ago from you too.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like in passing. I thought it was a great idea. And then just recently, and we'll talk about that today, just kind of the woke. For me, it just kind of felt like an epiphany in life where I'm at right now. And as I started to think, this just made so much sense for my life personally. So my prayer is that, like, man, people can catch this. If you're going through this right now, that this would resonate to you and know that there's a tribe for you to be a part of. So I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone in the tribe has a role, right? Mm-hmm. And I think more and more that I'm just believing that we're all culture setters, we're all leaders, we all have influence in it. Mm-hmm. And I want to walk through life and figure out how can we do that with other people. But it's really interesting. Yesterday we were talking, you shared the analogy of the table.
Yeah.
Share some of that for the tribe, because that was good. I really like that.
You know, we talk about how a lot of the nuances, like, hey, there's room at the table for everyone. And I know some of the discussions that that I'm hearing, that I'm talking with people too. It's like, well, why does it have to be your table? Like, there's many tables. And I think, I want to go to other people's tables too. And I want people to come to my table. Like, it's one of those things that it's very personable, where if you invite someone to your home, you eat, there's such a connection and intimacy that you want to host. And if I go to someone else that they're hosting, like, it gives them a sense of belonging, a sense of, man, this is mine, a sense of ownership. And I think the tribe needs to provide that. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do. It's not just like, hey, come to me, listen to me. I'm the only one that has all the answers. And we kind of hear that a lot, and we want to break those barriers. And I want to hear people's stories. I think we all can learn from someone at any given time. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, dude, I agree 100%. And I love that, because I think so often in life, when I think back on just like growing up, I feel like there was always this narrative of, hey, I'm always fighting to get to the bigger table. I'm fighting. Yeah. If I'm just a kid, I'm fighting to get to the adults table. But dude, I have so much that I can share wherever I'm at. And I think that's true for anyone and everyone. And that's I think about Tribe Conscious, like that's what this is about. I want to be able to give platforms to people to be able to share their experiences, share their
Exactly.
stories, and the skill sets that they've developed. And I think everyone will find a lot of value and hopefully some inspiration from that.
And I know this isn't our topic for today, but you're talking about the whole subject of platforms, and I think with
Come
social
on.
media, it's
Yeah.
like we have everybody on the same platform, or so it seems like. So it's so easy for us to feel like, man, my impact is not as big as this person, and we're on the same level. I should just stay quiet. I should just not
Hmm.
do anything. And the truth is that, I mean, I know social media is a huge platform virtually, but man, there's so much that is happening in the real world that if we just step out a bit, you are making a difference. You are making an
Yeah.
impact in your community. Your art, your leadership does matter. It is making a
Hmm.
difference. So I think we need to help people see that perspective so that they can continue to continue to lead
Yeah.
in their capacity.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so I love this, and this I feel like this is just like a little snippet of what's to
Yeah.
come because we have a lot of really good stuff that we're going to be talking about over the course of the next few months. But one of the things that I thought about when starting this podcast was so many people were like, "Well, why do you want to start a podcast?" And like, so one of the things, this is something that even you've mentioned to me. You're like, "Well, um, isn't the podcast space crowded? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Isn't there like a lot going on there?" And I remember having a discussion with you one day and comparing it to music. Like I discover new music on
Yeah.
Spotify all the time, and I love it. And I don't care if they're
Mhm.
a big artist or a small artist.
Mhm.
But the reality is, I'm realizing in our world today with the internet, there is space for everyone, and
Everyone. Yeah.
every single person, and there's space for our voice and for our thoughts. And I think for us, especially as people of color, like we want to be able to build a platform to be able to share some of the thoughts and ideas and the things that we've experienced, because just historically, it's voices that have been suppressed, marginalized, and all that kind of stuff. So Apoc, I'm curious to hear, just I know for those who are listening and aren't watching the video, by the way, check out the video. But
Yeah.
I'm an African American male, and you are Mexican. Would you do you actually? I don't think I've ever asked you this. Do you classify yourself as? Do you just say Mexican or Mexican American? Like, just what's your story in general? Why don't
um,
we
I,
just drop that there?
yeah, I would definitely say Mexican American. I love America and I love Mexico. So that
Uh,
is that's who I am.
yeah.
And just kind of my story is I grew up in the south border of Texas, the Rio
Hmm.
Grande Valley. Um, it is, a bubble, a world in its own. Love the place, good tacos. But coming once I graduated from high school, I came to Houston to go to school, and I don't know, man. It was like one of those things. It's like, boom, you're hit with this broader world that you never experience in your life, and
Yeah. It's like the kid going to the big city for the first time.
yeah, little kid, what is it? Little fish in a big pond kind of
Yeah.
vibe. And all your insecurities start coming up, like things that you never realized was a problem, or that were things that you were dealing with. And I think for me, like one of the big things was the fact that you realize like, oh, like I am a Mexican. I
Because
I
I think it's important to know, like, you can live your life and not really just like
yeah,
have that and experience and notice that. Because my story is similar. I'll share
yeah.
more of that bit, but
But it's true. I mean, it's one of those things like you don't realize that it is a thing until like it is a thing. And
it
I
happens.
I saw myself like even in the workforce, feeling like, I felt insecure around white
Yeah.
people, and I couldn't really, put my finger on it. Like, what is it? And I'm 33 now. I've gone through a crazy journey, but like, just 30,000 foot view of it. At 25 years old, I quit my job to pursue full-time ministry. And it was such a powerful moment in my life where, I felt like I was answering the call for what I was created to do. And it's been the last 8 years have been the best years of my life. And um, it feels like lately has been just kind of like a new chapter. And one of the reasons being, it's like, then I hit becoming a minister, a pastor, and feeling like even there, like, man, like, I don't know, there's something, I feel like I don't belong. I feel like I felt insecure. And then all of a sudden, like a couple of months ago, with everything happening, people talking about 2020 being their year and to vision.
What a year.
What a year. However, I do feel like I did get some clarity and did have like an epiphany this year. And I was like, no, like, I am who I am. Like, I'm called to do this. Like, I need to step out and do this. I'm like, yo, like, there's just like an awakening happening inside of me. And I feel like I'm just getting started at this age. So I know it's not part of our podcast, but I just want to tell our listeners who are like, man, you might be 25 or 28 and you're feeling like, man, I'm falling behind. Like, you're just getting started. Like, I'm 33 and I just feel like I just got like this new to just go and attack my dreams and go after them. So it is an exciting season for me, for my family. And I just feel like we're at the right place at the right time with the right people. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Dude, I love that because I've been thinking the same thing. There was, going through college, I'm a very like nostalgic person, and I like looking back on like really important times in my life, like childhood being one, college being another. And there's always kind of this narrative like, oh, the college years are the best years of your life, And I'm just like getting to this point, like I am 27, I'll be 28 next year. And I'm at this point where I'm just like, dude, I firmly believe like my 30s is going to be it. And I know that there's so many people that get to 29 and they're freaking out and like, no, like my youth is leaving me, like it's going to be sucked out of their body or something. But yeah, dude, I'm so pumped. And then I also like what you said about 2020 and just getting vision. I think a lot of people asked for vision and were looking for vision, and they got 2020 vision. It was really clear. They just didn't see the things that they wanted to see. But I think the thing that I loved was on a global level. Like, we're definitely open to some really big issues. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're here doing this right now, because that has led to so many conversations. And as painful as some of the things that we've had to walk through and experience this year, I do think that we're walking with it and we're growing through it. And there are conversations that we needed to have years ago, but I'm glad we're finally getting to a point to talk about it.
I know it's not on our notes, but it's like, it's like you're going through so many people on a global level, having these like, clarity. And it's been the year of people just making like big decisions or like taking a stance. And it's easy, you're hearing a lot of the whole cancel culture, which I believe, that there's been that, I think that there's, I can merit that discussion, but I think for the majority part of what people are seeing, it's not really cancel culture. I think it's just boundary culture. I think people in this season, like we're just realizing like, hey, that's not who I am. And maybe it took maybe it took 2020, maybe it took racial injustice for us to say, you know what, I'm going to draw the line. I'm not going to like, there's just some things that you just have to say no to. And I think that that's where I've been at. It's easy to just tell like, oh, you're just cancel culture. And I don't think that's necessarily it. But I do agree people have done that and that there is that. I'm not saying that that doesn't exist. I'm just saying that probably the majority of the people are just setting some boundaries and
Yeah.
drawing the line and saying, you know what, this is, I love you, auntie, uncle, or whatever, but we have to draw some lines.
Yeah. I heard someone even say recently talking about identity and figuring out who you want to become. And they were saying that the way that you find out who you are, you don't start off by saying like, oh, I am this, I am XYZ. The easiest way and best way to start out is saying, I am not, I know that I'm not this, and starting to work your way backwards. And I think this year has caused so many people to say, okay, I'm not this, I'm not that. And like for the first time in people's lives, they're like, I have to make a choice and I need to stand for something.
Yeah.
And I think,
and you know what? And it can feel like for some people, that decision can feel very lonely.
Yeah.
And I think that is what's
scary.
It is. And for me, this is what sparked the desire to come back to you and say, hey, I think we need to, I texted you. I think I was like, I sent you the text. I was like, try.
I remember the day. Yeah.
And because I realized that I was dealing with that. I was dealing with the loneliness. I felt alone in this journey. And as you pull back and you start having conversations, you start meeting people, you realize you're not really alone. Like you're not the only one, because it's easy to be like, man, like, is there something wrong with me? Like there's nobody, there has to, like, this is, I feel like an anomaly. I feel like there's something wrong with me. And this season has been beautiful because I'm realizing that I'm not alone. And I hope that someone listening here can feel like, man, this resonates with me. These are the things that I've been thinking about. I've been afraid to say it out loud, or I felt alone in the process, or I've been made to feel like there's something wrong with me. And I want to let you know, whoever's listening, like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. Like there's people that are going through what you're going through, and it's okay. You're not alone. And here's your tribe.
Yeah. We're a part of something bigger.
Yeah.
It's easy depending on, I think, especially depending on where you live, like it can feel very isolating, but thankfully we went through all this stuff in the time of the internet. I guess that could be a great thing or a bad thing, but it does allow us to connect people. But yeah, so we were sharing stories. You shared a little bit about yourself and your experience, and through the rest of our conversation, you had mentioned an idea of like just people going through life and just like just mindlessly kind of wondering. And I feel like that really resonated with me because that's what my life was growing up. Like I grew up in Houston, Texas. Shout out, got the Houston shirt on. So I got my Houston shirt on for the audio listeners. And then Apoc actually has a frame behind his head that says Astroworld. If you don't know what Astroworld is,
then you're not from Houston.
Yeah, you're not from Houston, but I imagine with Travis Scott and all that stuff, everyone knows what Astroworld is right now. Knows. But yeah, so grew up in Houston in the suburbs, dude. And I connected with your statement so much because for sure there was never a point where I was just like, oh, I'm Black. Or like, oh, I feel like really Black. I feel different. Because I grew up in a community that was really diverse and race wasn't a big issue. We gelled together. We lived life. You know, the first time that I noticed it wasn't until my junior year of high school. We moved from Houston, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. My dad had gotten a job coaching basketball there. And I went to a school, so I have a twin brother. We went to a school that was majority white. And dude, I remember that typical like scene where you're sitting down at the lunch table and it's like, it was just me and my brother by myself. And it's just like two Black kids sitting in a sea of white kids. Like, and in that moment, it's like, oh shoot, I really experienced that. And there were some other things that we experienced throughout the year, but it was really eye-opening. But by the time I graduated high school, I was like, my brother had decided to stay in Memphis. I've never really talked to him. I don't know why he decided to stay. I'd be curious to hear. Not that it was a bad thing, but I was so ready to get back to the city and get back to Houston, just because it was a place that I loved and I missed the diversity and the connections that I had. So went back to Houston, went to school. Through college, we got connected through weird tangled webs, working at a church together. And dude, we got some awesome times there and got to work on some incredible projects. And, from there, you ended up moving to California. And I had some time just to continue growing.
To journey,
to journey. And I realized that I really needed that because even, years after graduating college, I was still at a point where I was like, I don't really know who I am, what I'm doing, what I want to pursue, and all those kind of things. And really, these last years has been a journey of me understanding every aspect of myself, like my faith, my ethnic identity, my personality, and the things I love and pursue. And I think that journey has really brought me here. It's put me in this space for the tribe because I've been through all that stuff and it is not easy work. I'm still on that journey, but for anyone that's listening, like putting in that work to understand who we are is so worth it. It changes. I promise you, it changes everything when you know who you are. That's just kind of where I'm at now at this point in my life, and just excited to continue having these conversations. And continue to grow and. Yeah.
Well, you were talking about it, it's hard, and I agree. It's like, it's hard, but just because it's hard, that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. And I think that was the case for me, just kind of having to dig deep and feel the feelings, deal with some reality. It was tough, but as you unpack all those things, you start realizing like, no, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, we're going to get through this. And for me, I'm a father of two beautiful girls, one's turning 4 in December. The other one is turning 6 in February. But,
oh my gosh,
I know. And I know these, but for me, it's like, even laying down foundation for them, it's worth it. Like, we have to think bigger than ourselves sometimes when it comes to these fights and these journeys. Like, we have to think like, if we make it just about ourselves, then our vision's too small. Like, if we're trying to just change our world, and I think it should be important too. But sometimes, like for myself as a husband and a father, like, man, if I can just make a better world for my kids and my grandkids one day, let's fight the fight. I think one of the biggest reasons why we choose not to fight is because we don't think that change can happen immediately. But change happens. It just doesn't happen immediately sometimes. So,
we put too much pressure on it for it to be overnight. Microwave generation, overnight success, all that kind of stuff.
We didn't get like this overnight.
No.
we didn't build systematic things in our overnight. This has been going on for centuries and
long time.
It's going to take work, and it's frustrating, but we have to know that, like, the fight, the journey, it's not for the weak, it's for the strong. And we have to provide spaces to inject. This is not, I always like to say it's out of my notes, but I remember a conversation I had with you not too long ago, but I called you. I just felt like you just seemed like you were going through things, or like in this journey. And
I feel like that's my life on the regular. Going through things.
You're just like, you're like, I'm going through changes. Like you're just going through it, dude. So I remember I called you. I just felt like I needed to call you, and you were just so like unresponsive on the phone. Like you just seemed like you're just like done. I don't know.
Let me give a no, I don't, because I feel like there's a bunch of these. Let me give a side note to the audience. I love this dude, and he'll call me, and he's always speaking life into me. But there's times where I feel like I'm going through stuff, and I'm just like, I can't right now.
You don't want to hear it.
But here's the thing: I always answer because I know I need to have those conversations. So whether I want it or not, but yeah, there are times where I'm just like.
So I remember I called you, and you were just like not having it. And normally you just kind of like, you know, like I know if you're not having it, you'll just kind of rope. But that day, and it was about race. It really was. I don't know if you remember this conversation, but I told you, like, I'm like, you know, I'm praying you have strength. You know, I pray you can guard your heart. Like there was this conversation where, and you were silent the entire time.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I was speaking at you. I felt like I was just speaking over you. Like it was just one of those things. You just needed to hear it. Yeah. And because I felt like you were frustrated, and I don't know what road or what you were thinking or what kind of decisions you were trying to make, but I felt like I needed to call you, and I needed to tell you, like, dude, you got to fight this. Like we got it. We can't just sit and be angry. Like we got to use our anger for change. Like we got to use it. And I'm so glad we're here, because these are the things that people are going through right now. And we can either stay angry, or we can use that to fuel that. And we use anger, man, we give it such a bad connotation. Like the reality is like if racism isn't making us angry, like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I need that fuel to fuel me to fight, you know, like we got to make some changes. Like there's just some things that need to make us angry.
Yeah. And we have a full range of emotions.
Exactly.
Full range of emotions, and each and every one of them has value, and I'm more negative or has this connotation, but
yeah. And for us, purpose. Yeah. And for us that, you know, we're people of faith, you know, I would dare to say, God put that emotion of anger. It's there for a reason. Like, let's use it, but let's use it right. So anyway, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm saying this because you were talking about journey. You were talking about just kind of the whole process of like discovering who you are. And I remember that moment and us having a conversation and coming back to the why of why we're doing this. This is the why, like, whether it's us or whether it's your mom, your auntie, like brother, sister, like you need to have a conversation, or maybe there's people that like that you've been ignoring because you don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But it's exactly what you need to hear.
You need to hear it. Yeah.
And it's and you need to take those next steps. So join the tribe. Join the tribe. You're not alone. Like this is not, you're not an anomaly. We're in this together.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into the conversation today. If you found value in this, we hope that you would subscribe, share this with a friend or on social media, and rate us wherever you listen to podcasts. It would mean more than you know and help us out so much.
Also, the conversation doesn't end here. We want to keep it going, and we want to hear from you. You can keep up with us at the Tribe Conscious Collective. Shoot us a DM. We would love to hear your thoughts and meet you.
You can also find Apoc at Apoc Antu. That's APOCANTU. And my social is at ZJWilson14. Let's be real life friends. Hit us up. We would love to talk more about life, leadership, creativity, or anything else going on in your world. So shoot us a DM.
Our hope is that we would have a podcast out every 2 weeks on the first and third Wednesday of every month, So like we said, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned. See you soon, everybody.